where today we are talking about 4 sources that prove the navy bean to be the best bean. The Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad has been teaching and instructing his followers to consume the navy bean since the 1930s. And I read this book, 20 years ago when I was a young vegan, and I understood and valued the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad because he was the first teacher who had ever really told it to me straight. I always felt like I was missing something. I already had started seeing what was going on in healthcare, what was going on in the food industry, so it really explained a lot of things and answered a lot of questions that nobody had ever been able to answer before in my life. However, this book went right over my head because I was really brainwashed by the plant-based food cheerleading squad of everyone saying, it's best for the earth, you have to be vegan, plant-based, no other way is the right way, and just this habitual programming of saying that anything that comes from animals is bad, and it caused a lot of problems for me. So I was very passionate about being vegan. Some people would even say it was like a religion to me. For 17 years and 4 pregnancies, I was hardcore vegan. I would always find reasons why, that way was the best. And then I started having a lot of problems catching up with what was going on. And I had many years ago, before I heard and read the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, I heard the big bad voice of Sally Fallon. And she wrote this book, Nourishing Traditions. And it is the cookbook that challenges politically correct nutrition and the diet dictocrats. And that's basically what this whole plant-based thing, it's this, this view of not seeing the importance and the value between creation, God's plan for humanity, and how animals are a part of it. And in these times that it's really part of regenerative agriculture to have animals in there, and it isn't supposed to be done in the bastardized industrial agriculture way that is currently being done, but if it's done wisely, that it can be a really beautiful relationship between animals and an organic farm and health producing foods. So what Sally Fallon also did was she really pushed the campaign for real milk. So if you live near a city and you can get milk from well-raised cows, chances are pretty good that that steady supply that you are blessed by was nourished by the work of Dr. Weston Price, which is who Sally Fallon was mentored by his work and inspired by. And so Dr. Weston Price was a dentist, and he studied ancient diets and traditional cultures and how they prepared food. And so as a farmer, I expect, a seed, which is what a bean is, to be in a good condition when I plant it. And so God built in to seeds and grains anti-nutrients to the human body, but they're a protective coating so that they stay in a dormancy phase. And so when we just consume things without thought of what, how we're preparing foods, then we are taking in all these anti-nutrients. And I had heard that before. And so I really, I had trouble with this book. I really did. I had so much, I don't know if you've ever done like the emotional freedom technique where you tap and you do all the acupuncture points for getting over different emotional things. Like, I just had so much angst about animal proteins and animal foods because I had been really heavily brainwashed against them. And so I got through that. We were doing it, and I still didn't really feel like I had a lot of direction. So I came across the work of Dr. Maxwell Nardi of symptometry. I write about my education with him in my free crash course. It's on the website, humblehill.com/crash course, if you want to check it out. And so he was a homeopathic doctor, but he was really interested in those 20% of people who really didn't seem to heal. He wanted to know, is it something that they're eating? And he's out of Chicago, so he has read and he took the book How to Eat to Live and the instructions therein into the food science laboratory. Not just any kind of nutritional, like what is the nutritional value of the navy bean, but he actually went into gas chromatography, which is the highest level of food science that you can do, which breaks down food into all the essential parts and then he was able to analyze the data and give recommendations. And the first time I heard him on the radio show, I was asking about soy damage, basically. Like, I had damaged my son and myself and my family by consuming soy. I did not heed the warning And I just thought, how harmful could a bean be? Well, actually, choosing the right bean can really make or break your health, and it's that serious. And so definitely feel like it's time to challenge that constant cry of that plant-based is better, because where's the proof of that, and where's the long-term proof, and are we experimenting on ourselves, and what are we causing to happen? Like, what cascade of health problems are we setting into motion by not being scientific about how we approach foods and not being obedient? So Dr. Nardi, he put together what to consume, and he came about his conclusions differently. He's not a Muslim, so he didn't set out to prove why each food was the best in the book, and so he came about it differently. But his conclusion was that small navy bean is superior to all other legumes because it has all the essential amino acids, the smallest amount of legume sugar, lots of nitrogen, lysine, high in fiber, and no eliminators of body essentials. And so that was what I was talking about with the Nourishing Traditions, is that, the coating of the bean or the grain or the seed, that those, if you just consume them, they will block nutrients from going into the body. Even though they might be technically contained within it, you're not going to get it because there's other nutrients, and it's a very complex thing. We've really been dumbed down with nutrition of just like, oh, this food contains this or that. If we eat it, we get that. Not actually. You have to do the science, and you have to know how to eat to live. And it's not a simple thing, especially in these times, because there is such a hardcore play for your food dollar, and most of the food that you encounter is not in your best interest to eat. And so Dr. Nardi also has this amazing ginger drink, and he has some navy bean recipes in his cookbook. And if you feel like you don't need a cookbook for anything having to do with the navy bean, it's worth it to get the ginger drink recipe alone. Due to copyright issues, I can't share that. But I have a video up of me making it to show the process. I just don't give the recipe to honor the doctor's work, because he put a lot of years in it. And so closing out with Sally Fallon, I recently was at a biodynamic agriculture conference, and I got to meet her for the first time and heard her speak about fats of the land. And that's really what the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught. He gives a picture of a farming community, how to eat to live is also a blueprint for local organic farming if understood. And I wish that I had not been so dense, and I got it many, many years ago. Another resource in looking into the science of the navy bean, the mic drop of all the navy bean science out there that you could find is the work of Dr. Wesley Muhammad. And in his video, Who is God? The Testimony of Science, Part 2, he really breaks down the navy bean. And I thought I knew about the navy bean. I was really in love with the navy bean, ate it all the time. And then when I saw this, it blew my mind. And it is the precursor, I believe this is the correct order, that after that dropped, then this report, Waging War by Zip Code, How Food in Black Neighborhoods is Weaponized. And if you don't study from the Nation of Islam, if you're not, if it's not making sense to you, why I'm talking about it is because I have to give credit where credit is due. These are the men and women that have taught me what I know. And so I noticed that navy bean also has been being picked up by bigger companies like Garden of Life or Annie's Organics. And so this one has, organic sprouted navy beans as protein in it, but it also has some other questionable ones, pea protein, lentil, and garbanzo bean. And so it got me thinking about, I don't want all of those other beans. And so the work of Dr. Wesley Muhammad inspired the video for how to make your own navy bean protein powder. So you can check it out and make your own at home, and then you can know. And upcoming videos are going to be about how to use it. I get a lot of questions, does it taste like anything? What do you use it in? What do you put it in? How much do you use? All of that and more. Looking forward to answering your questions. I would be honored if you would like and subscribe to this channel, hit the bell and get all the notifications, so that can help me show and prove to my husband that this is something I should be spending time on. We have some time without, the fields are covered in snow, so I have a window of time to get started. So I really appreciate you watching. Leave me a comment below if you love the navy bean and what your favorite thing to do with it is and all of that.